and ice cream and cooking and hiking again and all kinds of games and more games. And so we've really enjoyed spending time with your children. We thank you for entrusting them to us for this week. We have a wide selection of skits for all audiences. And we'll start out with the youngest group that Blake and Dante led. They are the kindergarten through second graders, and then we'll progress up through the years with a short break in between to prepare and adjust people and our working space up here. So I hope you enjoy. Thank you.
Before we start our skit, we've got a young comedian in our group who wants to tell you guys a joke. This is Daniel. He's going to tell you a joke.
Lady walks into the store and says, "Hi, I would like a scoop, a gallon of strawberry and a gallon of vanilla and a gallon of chocolate ice cream." Then the ice cream maker says, "Okay, but we have plenty of strawberry and plenty of vanilla, but we don't have any chocolate today. No chocolate." Then she says, "Okay, then I'll have a half gallon of strawberry and a half gallon of vanilla and a half gallon of chocolate." And then he says, "Okay, but we have plenty of strawberry and plenty of vanilla, but we don't have any chocolate today. No chocolate." And she says, "Okay, then I'll have in a cone a scoop of strawberry and a scoop of vanilla and a scoop of chocolate." Then he says, "Okay, but we have plenty of strawberry and plenty of vanilla, but we don't have any chocolate today. No chocolate." And she says again, "Go for me, straw and strawberry." And she says, "Okay, STRAW, straw." And he says, "Good. Now spell for me the van and vanilla." And she says, "Okay, VAN, van." And he says, "Good. Now spell for me the stink and chocolate." And she says, "There's no stink in chocolate." And he says,
the cobblers and the elves.
"What's the other stuff?"
Once upon a time, there were two very old cobblers. They made their shoes just as they had always done. First, they would take the shoe, and then they would place the sole on with some light glue, and then they would hammer in each nail very slowly until the sole was tightly on the shoe, because they believed that this was the only way to make the best quality shoes. Well, across the street, there was another pair of cobblers, a fast-paced pair of cobblers. They used a giant machine to make their shoes that spit out so many shoes they could barely count. They just kept spitting out more and more shoes. Well, the years went by, and the older cobblers, they had less and less business and made less and less money because the fast-paced cobblers were outrunning their business. They could make twice as many shoes in a day as the older cobblers could. Well, sometimes the fast-paced cobblers would look out their window and see the empty shop across the street. They would often walk over, and they would invite the older cobblers to come work for them.
"Why don't you come work for us? You're not going to make enough money like that."
Remember the only way to make shoes?
It's the only way to make shoes.
So the fast-paced cobblers just shrugged and went back to their fast-paced business. Well, Well, another year went by, and the older cobbler's money grew less and less because their customers grew less and less. Until one evening they were down to their last set of shoemaking materials. They looked at each other and sighed. For there was no need to make new shoes out of these materials for no one to wear. So they decided to go to bed early. But before they did, they laid out their materials for the next morning so they could start bright and early. They yawned and went to bed. Now this is the part of our story where we're going to need some audience participation. We have a song that you have to learn, and it's the elf song. It goes like this. Da-dun, 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 da-dun. I point, everybody's going to do that, okay? So that night, an amazing thing happened. Out from all the corners and crevices in the house came little tiny dancing elves. And they picked up the materials that the cobblers had left, and they began to make shoes, the most beautiful shoes you've ever seen. And they worked and worked and worked and worked and worked and worked and worked long into the night, until the first rays of light came through the window and the elves began to scatter to the corners. Well, the next morning, the cobblers came down the stairs yawning to themselves. And Mrs. Cobbler said,
What a lovely morning it is today.
and Mr. Cobbler said, but just then they looked down at their work table and they saw thousands and thousands of shoes. They were so surprised that they jumped up for joy, for they had had so many shoes made that they didn't have to work that day. They decided to use their good fortunes to their advantage, and they began to stack their shoes at the window. That day, many, many customers came. Many, many customers came. There were so many customers, there was a line going out the door.
Maybe your next
Customers, Richard.
I would like that.
Well, the two fast-paced cobblers across the street looked out their window and saw so many customers at the older cobbler's house that they decided to go find out what was going on. When they arrived, they asked them,
Why do you have so many customers?
We don't know. We just laid the materials out that evening and went to bed.
Well, who made the shoes? I don't know. We weren't
I
awake.
wasn't up in the middle of the night.
I don't believe you.
those cobblers were very suspicious, those fast-paced cobblers. They did not believe the older cobblers. They decided that one night they would do some spying and find out what was really going on. Well, the next night rolled around, and the older cobblers decided that they would test out and see if the same good fortune would come this night. So they lied out each and every one of the materials just like they had the night before, and went to bed early. And that night, sure enough, just as the night before, the elves came. And they made shoes. They worked and 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 worked some more, long into the night, until the first rays of light came through the window, and then they scattered to the corners. The next morning, the cobbler and his wife came down the stairs, yawning to themselves, and the cobbler, Mrs. Cobbler, looked at her husband and said,
What a beautiful morning it is today.
Yeah.
and they looked at their table, and sure enough, there were thousands of more shoes.